What's up, everybody? Welcome to the first hangout of the Hoops Hobby Hangout. My name is Joey. I go by Sac Kings Cards on Instagram, and I do have a YouTube channel, Sacramento Kings Cards, where I've been posting stuff in the last few months. Do you guys want to just go around and say your name and where people can find you, and then we'll kind of kick it off?
Yeah. I am Ryan, Mind Cycle Cards on Instagram and various other platforms like hobby boards, which I'll bring up again. This chat always got to promote.
You'll bring it up many times. I'm Steve. I'm just realizing now that the last time I was on StreamYard, it must have been when I was on the Back to the Future podcast because my name says Boston Steve. But I'm on Instagram as S Howley 2003, Celtics collector, Jay Crowder super collector. Let me kick it off to you, Adam. Give a quick introduction.
Yeah, my name is Adam. I go on Instagram as the Sport Card King. I collect a wide array of different things, mostly Hall of Fame Legends type stuff across all sports, but obviously honing in on basketball for the purposes of this.
Nice. Yeah, well, hey guys, I'm really glad. Thank you guys for jumping on and agreeing to do this. Welcome to everyone who's kind of viewing right now. Thanks for joining in. We wanted to spend today, I think, just kind of getting everyone's feet wet, getting you an idea of kind of what we're trying to do here, what our goal is here. And I think we'll take it from there ultimately with just kind of giving a little more extensive background of ourselves and our hobby and sports fandom, our collecting background. And every so often, I mean, you can see the in the top right corner are the Hoops Hobby Hangout logo. Every so often, I'll introduce the QR code. If you want, you can scan the QR code. You can jump in. We can have up to 10 people on the screen at one time, and we would love to have other people join us and kind of share in the conversation. You're welcome to right now. If you're here, scan that QR code. It's going to give you a link to StreamYard, and it'll join you, and it'll have you join in, and we'll add you to the stream. Or of course, we're all happy to have the comments as well. So thanks everyone for joining in so far. Like I mentioned, my name is Joey. I'm Sac Kings Cards, and ultimately, what we're trying to do here, I think the four of us kind of agreed that it felt like in the basketball card verse, there was a little bit of a lack of card and collecting focused content. I mean, I personally kind of went down this rabbit hole with the vintage baseball. Like, I don't own a single vintage baseball card, and I think I've spent like 100 hours watching vintage baseball stuff on YouTube, vintage baseball videos on YouTube. And it's just, I can sit there and listen to a 1 or 1.5 hour video of guys talking about like Willie Mays, his cards, his career, showing his different sets and his runs, and showing the different, talking about what they appreciate about him, why they like collecting his cards, things like that. And so ultimately, I just didn't feel like there was that in basketball. There's a lot of people doing auction reviews and auction watches from the various auction houses. There's a lot of people talking about prospective values moving forward. There's a lot of people talking about investment potentials. There's a lot of people. There are definitely some collector focused things. Like Steve mentioned, the Back to the Future guys. Obviously, I don't want to shout out people with leaving people out, but I mean, like, personally, I really appreciate Wax Museum and Kyle and what he does over there. And so there's been a dearth, I think, of this kind of ability to talk about cards and collecting in basketball. The other thing that kind of, I think, timing wise hit was I just watched everyone at the National, and like everyone talking about their time hanging out with other collectors and doing dinners and looking at cards and trade nights and all that stuff. And I just thought, like, why do we have to wait for a major card show for that to happen? We could do this. We could sit every week and, obviously we'll see where this goes. I mean, this could blossom into something bigger. But I think to start, we can hang out every week, get to know some card friends, some other people in the hobby that share our interests and stuff like that. Apologies in advance for the baby you hear, and you may hear in the background. And so, yeah, that's kind of where it was born from. It was a desire to make connections and more meaningful card and hobby focused connections with in the overall online basketball card landscape. I don't know if you guys want to go around, I guess in that kind of same order was good to talk about like why, when I reached out to you, you felt like this was something you were interested in participating in, and where you kind of feel the mission or vision.
I'm going to jump over you for a second, Ryan, because I just want to give a shout out to, we've got 6 to 8 people on YouTube already. So I just want to give a shout out to everyone. Like, I think that's what it's all about, is hopefully getting some people involved, listening. I mean, Sean came in with the A+ first comment in the history of the show by saying how pretty I am. So, I mean, right there, we're off to a good start, right? So, Ryan, I'll let you kick it off as far as like your interest in this type of conversation and everything. But I'm monitoring what's going on at YouTube. I think you guys are as well, because I saw Adam chuckling to himself when Sean made his comments. So I'm going to just throw something out there that we hadn't talked about, that if anybody in the comments on YouTube has anything they want us to spitball, talk about a question, like feel free to fire it off, and we'll try to freelance it a little bit. But I'll let you go, Ryan, as far as sort of your motivation, what you hope to get out of all this.
Sure. Yeah, thanks for those who joined. I know getting started with this kind of stuff is always kind of rough, just to get the word out there. So appreciate you guys joining, and hopefully we can get you on the stream at some point too. But yeah, when Joey approached me about the idea, I was really excited about it, to be honest, because like you said, you know, there's a ton of like baseball content out there that's just collector focused. And I actually watched some of that myself, even though I'm not like a huge baseball collector, just because it's interesting to hear about sets and cards and all that. And how often do you hear that on the basketball side? I mean, you do. There's definitely podcasts out there, and there's people chatting about cards. It's not like it doesn't exist or anything. It's just a little bit lacking. So that I think that's where the idea really hit me, is because if I want to spend my time like listening to somebody talk about cards, I don't invest in cards. I don't really sell all that much. Every once in a while I will. I'm not really like that involved in the market side. Not that there's anything wrong with it. And, you know, I think we may end up talking about it at some point, just because, I mean, it's the reality of collecting nowadays, that kind of side of it exists and you can't ignore it, right? But I think the idea was great to not put that as the major focus. You know, oh, these you know, sales are happening and the big auctions and all that, and that's great and all, but how does that relate to me? I just want to chase a 97, 98 Flair Showcase set or something like that. So I really appreciated the idea. So that's what got me interested in getting involved in the podcast. And I will kick it over to you, Steve.
Yeah, I think part of my issue is I just have a bad time saying no to things. So an idea comes across and I just say yes before I think about it. But in all seriousness, and I think Adam and I will probably reference some of this stuff as we go, and hopefully there's not too many inside jokes. But Adam's he might not agree, but he's someone I would consider a friend. And Adam and I have met through the hobby. There's a group of us that during the pandemic used to get together and talk Celtics basketball cards, is how it started. Then we used to just get together once a week when we were all locked in our house, and we all played trivia together and just hung out and talked about life and all that other stuff. And at one point, one of the guys, who is hilarious but is good, he calls himself an idea man, said, "Man, we should record this and put it out as a podcast," because it was good conversation and we would talk about stuff and it was entertaining, but no one ever took the lead to do it. And so when Joey took the lead and then reached out to me, not even knowing who else was in the group, and invited me, I thought it was a great opportunity. And I know, like, just having, you know, met Adam through the years and some other guys, like when I have had the chance to go to a show or have a pickup that I want to talk about, you know, I think he's still in the YouTube, you know, Kuko Jeff is on the stream right now listening. I know when he goes live, like I'll hop on just to see what he's doing, opening cards or yelling at his kids or throwing Legos across the room. But it's another way to connect with a collector. And so doing something that we hope is more interactive and has sort of more of a consistency to it, I think is selfishly going to add to my enjoyment of the hobby, which has definitely been decreasing over the last few years with the monopoly and kind of some of the lower quality sets. Not that I'm burnt out on it. There's still good stuff being produced, but this was a new way for me to sort of jump in and hopefully enjoy the hobby while also connecting a little bit more and go from there. So yeah, it was definitely more about, oh, look, we have a fifth member. Joey's
Nice.
fully committed right now, guys.
He's not pretty happy right now. So
I don't know if that's your first or not, Joey, but it gets much better. Those are tough months. I remember those very well.
it is actually number 3, but yeah, we've been getting little sleep, and it's an interesting time right now.
So here you are talking cards with a bunch of
Sorry to interrupt
dopes.
you guys.
All right, I'll shut up for a minute and let Adam take the mic.
Going last, I mean, I'm obviously co-sign everything you guys have said. 90% of what you see online anymore is financially driven or has an agenda behind it. And I know all of you decently well, obviously to varying levels, but I know that we're all pretty much the same in the sense that when we trade money for cards, it's because we like the cards more than money, and we don't really care about the future gains on them. They're sunk cost to us. Now, obviously, we've all sold cards before. We've all upgraded our collections or done whatever we needed to at a certain time, but we have a different narrative than 90+% of the people you see, and especially the loudest voices you see. So I know I've spoke with Joey about this. Like, everything you see that's front facing of the hobby is coin flips and basically gambling, breaks, turning 5,000 into 10,000 at a card show, all the things that we aren't. So I just think it's kind of cool to kind of take it from a different angle and try to kind of project the good part of the hobby, that it can just be collector focused. And that's kind of where I was on board for.
So as Joey, as I said, I'm gonna give some opportunity to kind of maybe freelance some of this. You're sitting there holding your kid, and I'm looking at Caleb's comment about his fiance is gonna be excited because she doesn't have to listen to him talk about cards. Maybe 10 seconds on what each of your significant others thinks about your collection, and I'll start with my overview. Is cards aside, from the day my now wife met me, I've always had a hobby that included lots of stuff. So like I play basketball, I mountain bike. When we moved into our first apartment, our living room and our bedroom had bike racks in them because I was working at a bike shop. I was racing, semi-competitively. So she's used to stuff. And the fact that it's now cards and Legos and, stuff that my kids enjoy, she thinks it's a great way to connect with the kids. But as long as I don't leave it around the house or spend too much money on it, she doesn't care. But honestly, Caleb, I've been quote unquote back in the hobby, and we'll probably get to our origin stories at some point down the road at a later episode. But my first adult purchase was 2012. I've maybe spent a total of 22 minutes since then talking cards with my wife. But so your fiance is very patient. A lot of mountain biking, Sean. Right now I ride a rigid bike. I do a lot of single speed riding just because I've worked in bike shops my whole life and hate maintaining them. But I could go on and on about mountain biking. I won't geek out about that here. That'll have to be a separate podcast.
I don't know if we're the right group to join you on that. At least definitely not. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thank you guys for doing that. I think that, as a lot of you alluded to, I mean, what I was kind of thinking, and we'll see how it evolves, is like week to week, we could just kind of grab a topic and just talk about it. Whether that's like card designs, whether that's cards of a certain player, whether that's the evolution of a set over time or over years, whatever it is. It could also be, like Ryan mentioned, obviously naturally things like market talk will come up, things like the hobby landscape. It's all relevant, but hopefully the perspective and the view, the lens from it will be all like really focused on, like Adam was saying, the love of collecting and cards and kind of the passion we have for basketball cards. And I mean, I'm personally not opposed to expanding that out. Oh, sorry. I'm personally not opposed to expanding that to other things like baseball or football or whatever, but I just don't know what everyone will want to do. So, Ryan, do you want to take a second and just go into a little bit more of a background of like what you collect, what you got you into the hobby, some of the stuff like Steve and Adam had mentioned?
Yeah, I'll let you console the kid for a minute. Yeah, and I think that's the great part about this is that we don't really have topics that we've necessarily come up with for planned out for each episode. It's going to kind of be on the fly, right? Which I think is great because, like you mentioned, Joey, we could bring a baseball collector, a football collector on. I think all of us here probably know more about basketball cards than anything else. So that's why the podcast is named what it is and everything like that. But it's not like we couldn't bring anybody on to just discuss things, because ultimately I just like learning about cards and sets and stuff I could chase that's cool. And I think that's the part of the hobby that excites me the most. So I don't remember when you got on Instagram, Steve. I think it was around 2018 for me, when somebody posted on Blowout forums about it. And they're like, this is kind of cool over here. People are showing cards off, and I've never seen this set. And it's easy to share them. You just click the button. And so back before the boom, you had a lot of that going on Instagram, and a lot of people were visiting message boards and stuff like that. Nowadays, that's kind of gone by the wayside. I get on Instagram and get more frustrated than anything nowadays with what I see on there. So I just think this is a great platform to do it on. For those of you that know, I'm going to bring up hobby boards again. get over there if you can, because that's the kind of stuff that I really like to do. I will go into the Blowout debacle later. I don't get on Blowout anymore. But anyway, I set up hobby boards to get back to just collecting and posting about cards and being excited about a set and knowledge about a set. Hey, I'm collecting this set. What can I look out for as far as backdoor? Because a lot of us has been in the hobby for a while. I know that the Fleer bankruptcy dumped a bunch of like backdoor cards in the market, and if you pick one up and thought it was legit and maybe paid a bunch of money for it, it might actually not be a pack pull, stuff like that. So that's what I'm hoping to share on this podcast with people. And I want to learn things too. I don't know everything. There's no way. There's so much out there to know and to pick up on, that I would hope that people can join and educate us too. That's one of the things that I'm excited about myself. How about you, Adam?
No, I agree. I think that's a cool part of the process, is kind of broadening our horizons. We all have, I think, at least in some capacity, some overlap of what we have interest in. But we all also have very differing kind of niches, if you will. Obviously, with Joey and Sacramento Kings cards, he goes from a much wider kind of stance than, from my understanding, any of us do with overall teams. But then Steve and I both collect Celtics cards and have some overlap there, and then some of the players we collect, all that. And then with you, Ryan, the same thing. I know you like Tim Duncan. You've had some Olajuwon cards. We both like them. The legends that played for the Nuggets, we had some overlap. So it's cool that there is an overlap. I wouldn't consider him a Nuggets legend, but there is overlap. But
this is Iverson, by the way. I was having people guess before we started the stream.
But yeah, the overlap is cool, but also the ability to kind of have the separation where we could all add something to the conversation that each of us maybe aren't familiar with, and then the same with everybody in the chat doing the same. So obviously, like you said, nobody can know everything. So it'd be kind of cool to kind of put everybody's heads together, if you will.
Yeah, and I think that's what I'm looking forward to. And as we get this up and rolling and seeing what the feedback is, I think it's just behind the scenes stuff for anybody listening right now. The four of us have met, virtually a couple of times. And one of the things we talked about was having at least a topic to talk about, each episode. Like Adam and I have both completed the 1957 top set, which is what I use as an example, Joey and Ryan. And I think, being able to put something out there like that, and having a very focused conversation around it, and then having Ryan and Joe, you guys come in and talk about your thoughts on seeing that stuff out there or whatever. But what I hope to get to, and I was saying this, I think, to Joey in a private conversation, is I would love to see members of the community come in and say, hey, I'm chasing this, whether it be an obscure player or an obscure set like 1902 Russian political cards like Ryan may have in a binder somewhere, but have someone come on and sort of present what they're collecting and share with us, and then us share our perspective on that and have a conversation, because I want to get a lot out of this as well, and I really hope it to be really engaging and spread our wings a little bit, learn some more, because there's so much out there. I mean, if you ever just play around on TCDB and just look at all the different sets out there, I mean, you can go down a rabbit hole real quick, and those are just checklists, never mind, the actual intricacies of, like, Adam's chasing the 48 Bowman set and the printer issues they had and the ink issues. Like, there's stuff like that, or I mean, we all know about the 90s refractors and their greening, but there's a million different reasons why that might be happening, or there's different sets and subsets and first day issue cards and stadium clubs. So there's so much out there to talk about that I just, be focused, but also, cast a wide net that hopefully other members of the community can join us in some of these conversations and share with us. You're great, Jeff. TCDB is great, but so are you.
Thanks, No Brilliant, for the jersey shout out. I'm going to try to. I have all these jerseys and I don't get a chance to wear them anywhere because, I'm in my 40s, so it's kind of not that it's weird to walk around in a jersey, but I just don't do it.
It kind of is. It kind of is, right?
It kind of is, yeah. You get some looks. I mean, I wear them to games. I'll wear like my Gallinari jersey to games, and you get that one guy, oh, Gallinari, I remember him, or something like that, wear some obscure thing, but I'll try to bring him out for these shows.
Thoughts on buying a jersey of someone that's younger than you?
Younger? Oh, yeah. Like age-wise?
Yeah, I have a hard time thinking about buying like a Tatum jersey, realizing that I'm 43 years old and he's still 19 years old. Like that just seems weird. Or like buying
man. I don't know, but I'm sure when you go to Celtics games, everybody's got the Tatum jerseys, right? I know. I kind of like getting the more obscure ones, if you can find them. And a lot of times, like Gallinari stuff, I can get it for $15 on eBay. Get my correct size, and even if I only wear it once, it was worth it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Where do we want to go next, guys? What do you think for any suggestions from the chat?
Yeah, sorry, I'm gonna take myself backstage real quick because I got to get this thing sorted out. Sorry to do that.
Yeah. Do what you got to do, man. Do you guys want to do some little? I was
going to say let's do some pickup stuff, but Joey had mentioned the National and having a little FOMO around it. Well, there is someone in this group that did go to the National, so not to put you on the spot, Adam, but I don't know if you have any thoughts or any big pickups that you wanted to share about how things were, how the convention center was.
I could talk about it. I didn't have anything prepared, so I'd probably have to dig something out. But I did go, went all Wednesday through Sunday. It was a good time as always. Busy as ever, if not the busiest I've ever seen it. Really hard to get around, if anything. It was just so many people. You're trying to kind of work your way into a booth, and you have Pelican case looking things on top of every table where you can see 10% of the cards. So it was a bit of a struggle in that sense, but overall still a great time. For me, it's more about seeing people once a year rather than picking up the cards. It's easier to pick up cards online. It's a much simpler process. There's no better deals per se at the National. It's just a matter of the kind of same thing we're doing here, the community of it having of interest to us. That's really the reason to go, in my opinion. But I could try to dig out a few things that I've purchased. I don't know. I put them all away a couple days ago.
For you guys that are going to be watching the YouTube, one of the things to look out for, and maybe even turn into a drinking game or something, is how quickly Adam can pull out a card. The guy owns 20,000 cards, and he can pull them out of his hat left and right.
So that's a great skill.
Here's one. This is one of the ones I was more happy about basketball-wise.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
Olajuwon, Malone, Stockton, Oscar, quad tag. Yeah. It's actually the third copy of this I've owned. I moved one to a good buddy of mine, and I still have two. And luckily, the two that I have still kind of connect the pieces together. All of them kind of merge together, which was pretty cool.
Oh, that's slick. Yeah, I like that.
So I picked the right one.
What's the year on that one, Adam?
What is it?
What's the year on that one?
09. It was the dump of material for Upper Deck when they lost.
Oh, yeah.
Did you find deals were you spending more cash at them, or was it more trading either after hours or on the show floor, or mix of both?
I did both for sure, but I feel like at the floor of the show, just buying was easier. You didn't have time to really pull your stuff out and kind of transact that way. This is since we're kind of trying to touch base on different things that people maybe don't know about. This was a cool one I picked up. 61 Cons, Oscar Robertson.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, people are pretty familiar with his 61 Fleer rookie. He does have a XRC, if you want to call it, 60 Cons that I'd still like to pick up. But this one being the same year as the traditional mainstream rookie is pretty cool to pick up. And it's actually really cool. Unbelievably well presenting on the front, especially considering it came in a hot dog.
I was going to say, and I'm not saying this jokingly, but any staining to it?
No staining. The only
A lot
reason
of
it's
hot
a
dog
2 is
stains
the
in those,
person on the
yeah.
back wrote down 61, 62 on it. So like from the front alone, it's probably a 5 or 6, if not
Yeah.
better. It's almost perfect for these. I mean, these are very tough grades.
With
I have
those
another one.
vintage cards, I actually like I like a little bit of the handwriting or the pinhole stuff. It gives you, I mean, you don't know what the basis behind it is, but it gives a little
I was
history.
going to say that same thing, Steve.
Kind of
That's
puts a
cool.
perspective too of like the condition difference,
That,
how white the Oscar is
yeah, you
versus
can
the
see how
staining on
stained
this
that one is. Yeah.
and like the back too. There's just a very visible
Oof.
cleanliness of the Oscar. That's why I snagged it. But if
Yeah, those
anybody
are
does
great.
have a 60 cons, I am very interested in one of those.
All
Use it
5
as a
people
shameless
in the
flex.
chat. You got that? Did
Yeah,
you have one
the
of
6
those?
people. Anybody have one? Like, there's probably
I do
one in the
like
world.
those the vintage cards that people just handled and created for sets. I do like the idea that they labeled like the year, because that
Yeah,
tells you that it came from somebody probably trying to put that set together, right?
Yeah.
That to
yeah,
me is more valuable than purchasing the PSA 9 or 10 copy that only 2 exist or whatever. I could care less. When I see something like personalized like that, that's what gets me excited, you know. And plus, you're gonna, like you said, you can get for cheaper, so why not? If it
for
presents
sure.
well on
Yeah,
the front, it's like cool, you know, that's perfect.
yeah, absolutely. And since we have a Nuggets fan, I did pick up a Nuggets card. I'll have to find it here.
Oh, you know, I'm interested.
Nuggies.
Yeah, National.
While you stepped out, Joey, we're just having Adam. Adam did go to the National, so he was just giving us a little recap of the
Yeah.
chaos there, and then showing off a few things. God, that
Oh,
patch.
English. Yeah,
Yeah,
man,
Alex English, gold out of 10. It's
that
pretty cool
is sweet.
patch.
That's a chunky old. That's
What a
that's
patch. My
literally
goodness.
like probably the logo from this
Yeah.
era of jerseys. This is the '90s
Yeah,
era of the
exactly. Yeah,
Nuggets jerseys. Yeah,
yeah. It's like the E. I guess the ET is my guess, something like that.
yeah, that's really cool.
Ryan, show your jersey again because we'll keep with the Nuggets. So one of the
All right.
cards that I regret that I missed out on, I was the underbidder, was a 2012-2013 flawless gold patch from Alex English that was the skyline, and it had like 4 or 5 of the different
Oh,
colors.
yeah.
I think it sold for like 85,
Yep.
and I bid like 82 and got sniped on it. So yeah, so it was a little bit of the peak, and then it was 4 or 5 colors, and that we all know that 12-13 flawless vertical patch with sort of the oval shape patch window. It's one of those random cards that I don't need in my collection, but I still regret missing out on it because that jersey was just it's in the early '90s, and again, something we can get into at some point. Uh, Celtics and basketball card collecting didn't go together very well. The Celtics were hot garbage after the big three, so I grew up being fans of the Nuggets, the Spurs, a lot of third party teams or college players coming into the league. So that jersey really resonates with me, and having patches from
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
I have a couple.
Do you guys remember that 2012-13 flawless purge on eBay like years ago when there were like dozens of
Yeah,
every
that's
card
where I
from
got
that
a couple
set?
of mine from for sure. I definitely remember that back in the day. And it's yeah, for this jersey especially, I think I might have maybe in English, but I know for sure I have Dan Issel, and definitely have a fat lever from that flawless set, and those are just
Yeah.
so cool, man. I think that's what, what do you guys think? People gravitate towards those in the future because we get smaller and smaller patch windows every year. I just feel like back then when they had those jumbo patches, you don't see them much anymore,
And when there's something about and I know like I have a few, and Adam's got a bunch, and I don't know about you guys. Like I have a few relic cards from the 60s and the 70s, and those feel pretty special to have something that old. Like I forget what I picked up, but Adam was I think it was I don't even remember, but I remember messaging Adam, and I'm like, I kind of want it just because it's so old, right? Like it's a patch that's so old. But something about the 1980s jerseys like I'm 43, right? So that was when I was like growing up, and whether it be the Nuggets or the Celtics or whatever, that if I see any player from the 1980s and they've got a jumbo patch that's like multicolored, a stitch, I jump all over that. Similar to, like with football, if I see any like multicolored, especially Patriots patch from like the late 90s, early 2000s when it just didn't exist much and you actually got some color to it, I don't know. I jump all over that stuff. So will people gravitate towards it Ryan? I don't know. The algorithm and the hype beasts probably aren't pushing us in that direction. But as far as
when that dies
scarcity and
out.
stuff, we won't have options to collect again. Yeah, like the four of us, like if we want something like that, it's going to be going back to the some of the Upper Deck stuff, but really, give Panini some credit. It really was 2012 through like 2015 Panini that really had sort of the prime of the relic stuff. So for those of us that like it, and they had players from the 60s all the way up to modern day. I mean, they got some good stuff. So it's should I say the true collectors, or is that too catchphrasey? Such a lame term, but yeah, quote unquote true collectors. I do think there will be people that will gravitate towards, but not to the hype that other stuff does.
Yeah.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think to touch on what he's saying, that we're just not going to see a brand or a company go after that kind of stuff again, in my opinion. The amount of people that are after it are probably not increasing dramatically day in, day out, but the people who want it are going to want it, and it's going to have less and less supply to get because more and more collectors are kind of hoarding it. So I think that's part of it. Like, you're going to see people obviously continue to want that stuff, and I don't believe Topps or anyone in the future is going to go out of their way to really buy 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s memorabilia again, like we've seen with Panini. I'm the first person to hate on Panini. I don't care for 99% of their stuff, but you have to give credit where credit's due, and they've gotten many patch cards of people that have never had them before. So, like, I'm very grateful, and I have plenty of those to show for it. So, I mean, I definitely have the good with the bad. It's just that's going to be something I think we miss entirely moving forward. I just don't think there's any purpose for them to go out of their way to go to an auction house and buy incredibly authenticated memorabilia from that era for an exorbitant amount of money, when they could just throw a jersey off a rack and appease 95% of collectors.
That's kind of what I was going to say too, is that's what they're doing now, and they can have patches that weren't worn and sell them, and they sell for record prices and whatnot. So what's the incentive to go back and actually try?
Yeah, it's a lot more work, and they don't need to. I mean, most of the images these days are AI generated, and I can go on a whole tangent, but yeah, they're selling out of the stuff. And so why get on-card autos, and why get game used jerseys if people are going to buy the stuff up anyways? And it's part of the challenge of the whole gambling culture that has infiltrated the hobby for sure. So,
but isn't Fanatics a lot more in tune and connected with the memorabilia stuff? Like, do you think that maybe when they take over, they'll do a better job getting at least player worn for rookies? I don't know what they do in baseball. I don't know if they have player worn for rookies or game worn even.
The biggest thing you're going to see, I think, is not anything to do with vintage players, just because they don't have that access. But you're going to see, I think, a lot of like the football guys that currently have never had game use. Just as an example, I'm a Bengals fan. Joe Burrow has 0 game use cards. Fanatics has probably sold half of his jerseys he's ever worn. There's probably a good chance at some point they put one of those into a card because they have the access. But that doesn't mean they're going to go back in time and go buy a George Mikan piece as Panini has done or something like that. So I just think that's going to be the difference, is the low-hanging fruit that they already have access to, like an active player jersey that may be hard for Panini to get because they don't have the direct line. I think you might see, but not going out of your way to get things that are virtually unobtainable.
But I think to add to that, I think what I've seen, and so I do try to follow the baseball stuff as best I can, and I don't know the history of all the releases, but I have tried to follow it as best I can to get a sense of where they might go with basketball. But to bring it back to Panini, and and this is more of a subset, but like I collect a lot of WNBA cards as well, and they have never had game worn stuff under Panini, and it's such a low cost effort where Panini, for relatively small money, could buy a set of jerseys, have players wear them, and collect them. Like, they could just buy the jersey, have the player wear them for a day, and take them back. The WNBA is such a, at least the last time I talked with someone in the management section of a team, such a small operation compared to the NBA that like the players only get 2 or 3 jerseys per year of each color, right? So Panini could just fund a set of uniforms, take them back, and make cards that would send that collecting market through the roof. And instead, they just printed out, marketed, take off the rack, cut them up, rookie royalty stuff, and had Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, and the gamblers bought them, and they bought them on first off the line. They're Panini Instant. So even in something as simple as that would be a very low cost, low effort, a card company didn't need to, and they still offered relic cards that were not associated, and they still sold out of the product, right? So unfortunately, supply and demand, the demand for us is there, but the demand at the Fanatics, Topps, Panini level isn't there I don't think right now for them to justify the investment in game worn and increasing on card auto stuff. I really think it's about, printing out stuff and hyping kabooms and downtowns and RPAs that are not associated. And to their credit, it's working for them. Like, we can't deny that it really is working for them. So until it's not working for them, because you're right, Joey, Fanatics makes the uniforms. They literally make the uniforms for Nike, right? Like, so they could, and they have access to put those little stupid pin-on things on the MLB jerseys for the first game. So they have the access, they have the material, they could, but whatever extra effort or investment doesn't seem to be worth it right now, unfortunately. So I think that type of stuff is going to be harder to come by. Other than exclusives, like we saw, like I thought the Wemby stuff was cool. That was game used, but it was a very selective, purposeful thought behind, promoting their unlicensed stuff. So smart, but doesn't help those of us that maybe want a Dwight, Derek White, patch in multiple products, or, I don't know. Not, I was going to say Michael Porter Jr., but he's not really shining too bright these days, so we won't bring him up. But yeah, it's not needed these days, I don't think, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, I mean, the good sign is, Maravich Collector says baseball still does have game worn now for rookies, and I know they do that debut patch, which I think is a really cool concept. But obviously, they go for crazy prices. I know, but you're right. It's like, what's the incentive when that Caitlin Clark, whatever logo man from Flawless, didn't it sell for over $500,000? Yeah. I mean, even on the secondary market, like, not only are people buying the products, but people are buying the individual cards when they don't need to buy the product. Right. So
yeah, it's very focused on certain players, and the problem with that is it's focused on the gambling aspect. So even if you collected that player, you're going to have a hard time getting it because you're going to have to go through the flip game to try and acquire it, right? So if they expanded it, that would be great. That would be awesome. They should, but will they? When that's really driving the product and that's all they have to do, sourcing it's easier. I know we did. We said we weren't going to get into market talk, but it goes in hand in hand. So every once in a while, we will, just because that's just the nature of collecting nowadays. So, but yeah, it's like you said, Steve. I would love to see some other players rather than like the most hype rookie come out in tops, because as of right now, I have zero reason to want any of that stuff. It looks terrible to me, and it's like, it's not for me. It's not for probably anyone in this group. It's not for people collecting, it's for people trying to flip. Now, eventually, will that make it to us? Maybe in 5 years or something. I play the waiting game a lot on that kind of stuff, because if I see something cool right now and I try to go after it, I got to compete with the flippers. So I might as well give it a little bit of time to calm down, chase it later. I don't know if that's how you guys do it, but it's my strategy.
Well, but no, think about it, Ryan, from a basketball collecting perspective, right? So what percentage of first round draft picks even get hyped up, right? Maybe every draft year, 5 to 8 truly. So, the way they're going right now is going to isolate the majority of collectors if you're a team collector or player collector, right? So, like, as a Celtics collector, I've had a lot to be excited about as a fan. Like, they've had a great run. Like, things aren't looking so good moving forward, but I've had a really fun run with 2 all NBA level players leading the team, some all-star level role players, some young talent like Peyton Pritchard they've developed. I've had almost zero incentive to chase cards of those players because they've either been overhyped or just really not that interesting because there's been so much push for a Wemby type player, right? Which is fine, I get it, but they're not, I think, layering down and making it more inclusive for multiple collectors. I really do feel like a lot of the releases are a scratch ticket, hit the Wemby or bust type stuff, and I understand why people aren't ripping at these current prices. So I think, kind of building off what you were saying a little bit there, I think that's the challenge right now. I'm going to throw something out there, guys, and everybody watching can kind of watch us work behind the scenes. I know we talked about trying to keep episodes to around the 45-minute mark, to keep it active and also not wear ourselves out a little bit. What do you guys think about maybe we each go around, give a quick, maybe one liner about what our hopes are for Fanatics as they enter the licensed material, and then maybe do a sign off after that, building off the conversation we just had? All right, Joe, you shook your head first. So what are you hoping to see out of Fanatics, if we're, being honest or, just hopeful, moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing I think would be doing more game used stuff for rookies, or at least player worn. I mean, I know that a lot of people don't like player worn. I agree. I mean, I prefer game worn, but obviously, since rookie patches and jerseys have been used, player worn has been a thing. So, I mean, even back when, like in LeBron's year, he had a lot of his stuff was player worn. Most of his stuff was player worn. But yeah, that would be a big thing, is the jerseys thing. I think, like you guys mentioned, I love all the old school vintage jerseys and stuff that Panini's done. And I hope Fanatics does have an interest in doing that. I feel like on the baseball side, I think that they do a good job getting the older guys, and getting their older patches and bats and whatever, cut autos or whatever. So I think that would be good. But for me, the biggest thing I think would just be a variety of products. Like, I want to be able to open boxes of cards, even though like I prefer singles because I want to get my, my PC stuff, but I want to be able to open boxes of cards. I opened a box of cards this year with my daughter, and it was like so cool. We pulled like a 101 from Totally Certified when they had that crazy Totally Certified set that was loaded. So it was great. And so I want to be able to open cards at a low price point, without, I don't want it to be all boom and bust. I think that's the main thing. I don't want Fanatics tenure to be all boom and bust like it seems now with Panini, where you have to shell out to at least $200 for even the lowest end hobby boxes. And then, no matter what box you're opening, it's only a few cards that pay for that box. That's probably what I'm looking for.
I'll jump in as my hope, just because it builds right off what Joey was saying. I hope that, and again, Panini wasn't perfect, but there was a time period where I think they did very good things. And part of my hope is that they look at like that 2012 to 2016 Panini range and have a wide range of products, and some of it being hobby shop specific. Like I want a few sets that are just hobby boxes, no retail, no breaker specials, no FOTL. And that then there's sets that are low end, and they're low end for a reason, because people that are, autographing or set collectors are going after them. And that the high end stuff is actually premium stuff that, if we look at what Panini's done recently with NT, probably, well, for over a decade NT, where it's sticker auto, relic dump type stuff. I want their premium stuff to be similar to what they're doing in Topps Dynasty, where, the price is insane. You can't get your money back, but you get a box of Topps Dynasty, Topps Museum Baseball. You're getting a card that is produced with high quality, that's premium, that is worth having that premium, label to it, but also having some stuff that, sorry, I'm laughing at Sean's comments. Just wait, Sean, because they really will have. They had like -5 out of 10, like ice themed parallel cards. So just get ready. If we think we're parallel saturated with Panini, just we wait and see what Topps has in store for Chrome. There's going to be 85 different variations of Chrome. There'll be Chrome Sapphire, Chrome Dragon Poop, etc. And then there'll be 85 different parallels in each of those. But yeah, so I think, Joey, kind of building off what you were saying, I want some consistency, but I also want some simplicity to the release patterns. And I guess last but not least, I hope they get up to speed with the release patterns. I would love some preseason stuff that's released right after the draft, some high-end stuff released around the All-Star break, some update stuff, and I just hope it follows the season so collectors can actually collect what they want during the season. So all in there. Adam, Ryan, I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on what you hope to see out of Fanatics.
I'll go. For me, the biggest thing I would hope for, I know Steve and I have talked about this before, is Topps Dynasty having a basketball product. We both like Topps Dynasty for baseball. To me, it's one of, if not the only, year in, year out product that actually gets me excited. The price point is absolutely ridiculous, and basketball would only be worse, so I'm definitely not going to open any. But the idea of getting a single or two from that product would be really nice. Now, in baseball, they do have a lot of legends and a kind of a real wide array of selection available to you in terms of players, not just active stars or rookies, but everybody. So that would be nice if they could do the same for basketball. But I think right now the product's selling for like almost $3,000 a box for a single card, and it's a baseball product. So like if you kind of transpose that over to basketball, it's probably $5,000 or $6,000 a card. So I've never touched the stuff in terms of ripping it, but you can buy singles of the baseball product for $100 to $200. So there's plenty of available options there. That would be really nice. They have some really good designs, some really premium stuff. That would be really cool. I would also like to see Topps Chrome come back. I think it was Jeff that mentioned it in the comments. Topps Chrome has always been really, really great. The current stuff they have on license is terrible, but I'm hopeful that they can kind of get back to full steam with the license and make it kind of a throwback to the original years.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. Is Topps Chrome, the unlicensed stuff, poorly designed? Is it just me? Like, I know that they don't have logos, but it just looks bad, right? Why does it look so much worse?
Honestly, I think it's all AI generated, and it's probably a whole different. We can do a compare and contrast, but the joke around the sleeves, like they keep putting sleeves on players. Like most of the players are wearing a uniform, like Ryan's wearing right now, which is a long sleeve underneath an oversized, jersey. There's something off. They're not using game photos. I mean, I did a comparison on a story post of. I'm not even sure. It was Al Horford's head, but the neck color was different than his face color, and his head was like cut off. So they had didn't even Photoshop it right, and then they put it on basically like a cartoon body and a cartoon background. So I don't know if it's, I don't really know, but I don't know if it's a cheaper way of doing it or if they just don't they're trying to use technology that they haven't figured out yet. I'm not sure, but yeah, a lot of them are way off, and I'm hoping, to Adam's point, when they get the license, that we get some of the sets where they'll just use a picture of a player playing a game and cut all the nonsense out. But TBD, the basketball stuff is not looking good so far.
Well, it's interesting because baseball Topps Chrome still looks good. I mean, it's the Topps flagship design in Chrome, and it looks good. And even if the photos are in game and with logos because they have the license, the design itself is good. So it's just, I don't know, it's weird. It's like they could just use that design, throw in those non-game used photos with no logos of people wearing long sleeve t-shirts and whatever. I know De'Aaron Fox is the one that everyone, or at least Kyle, points out all the time. He's wearing a t-shirt under every jersey. But yeah, I don't know. It's just weird. I don't get it.
Yeah, I'm going to be the odd man out in that I'm not going to collect Fanatics unless they change my mind drastically. I just, I've posted this before. Steve probably knows this take because I rant about it all the time in our group chats and IG, but I just don't agree with their gambling mentality. And it just seems very, very focused right now on the big hits. I had to block all their accounts. It was just really getting to me. I just would be frustrated every time I'd open up Instagram or something. But I hope they can win me back. I'm being honest in that regard, is that I love Topps Chrome. It's one of my favorite sets to put together. I'm still putting together nugget sets of Topps Chrome. I've finished all the refractors and gold refractors. I've completed those runs. But now I'm trying to go back and do the base, go back and do the X fractors, the black refractors. It's fun. And the thing I loved about Topps Chrome is the photography. I just thought it was great. You had in-game photography. You a lot of time had action shots. Finest, on the other hand, was more about the design, and those are cool too, and I chase them, but it was always Topps Chrome for me ever since kind of getting back into the hobby 15 years ago or whatever it's been at this point. But if they can produce something that's nice, I may kind of forget my morals and start chasing it. But what we've seen so far, like you guys mentioned with the Photoshop stuff, I see that stuff selling out, and that's I had to drop following those companies because I'm you didn't sell that stuff out. You put a limited amount out for pre-sale and you sold it. Now you can say it's sold out, but we know the secondary market for that sucks. So I just don't feel like anybody was buying it other than to try to flip it immediately. And it's just I don't want to see that continue. So if that they can kind of step away from that and give us back what we used to love, bring me back in. I'm the collector. I don't want to just chase it because I can flip it for cash or, get on the initial hype and join breaks and all that kind of stuff. I really wanted to win me back, honestly, but until then, I just decided that there's too much out there that I can chase. I don't care. I'm just not caring about that stuff for the time being, at least.
It's sad, Ryan, because there's an opportunity there for them to release their first licensed Topps Chrome basketball product, just Topps Chrome, none of the Sapphire stuff, and in there be a throwback set where they use the 0102 design, and you could get a Jokic's black refractor using that 0102 design, and you would melt. But they don't care to do. They don't know. I don't know that they know their own. Honestly, I'm not trying to crap on them. I don't know that they know their own history of what Fanatics bought when they bought Topps. I don't know that they've actually researched the history of it. But I also don't anticipate they'll know to do that type of stuff. I think they'll just. My guess is that they're going to do. What we'll get is we will get Topps Chrome Sapphire, etc., and it's going to be WWE, Marvel, MLB, NFL, NBA, all using the exact same design with just a different player on it, and we'll just get the same, and they'll just run the prints, and it'll all be the same. I do think it'll be better than the non-licensed stuff, but I'm also not anticipating a great collector experience from it. I hope to be proven wrong.
I hope, man, because if they had the 01 black refractor out of 50, yes, I would probably cave. I know they had this Topps Rip article when the Chrome first came out, and I can't exactly remember what they got wrong, but they were talking about the history of Topps Chrome, and they got like 2 or 3 things wrong.
Yeah, I don't remember the details, but they're so off on their own history, yeah.
Yeah, and it was like, okay, so I'll give them, the benefit of the doubt. They were new to it and all that kind of stuff. But if you don't know the history of your company, you didn't retain some people at least that knew it, or could you research? I mean, how many spots on the internet can you go to find out if your info is correct? AI could probably tell you, which they use a lot as well. But that just kind of discouraged me, and then it kind of just kept going downhill from there. So yes, I really want them to win me back. So I love that.
And I think we should just.
I know.
Sorry, Joey, go ahead.
Sorry. No, I was going to say, I know baseball collectors love the heritage stuff in Topps. Like, I don't remember what year it started, but they started with like 1970 or 1960 baseball. And every year they move on to the next year and they do a heritage set with that design with various like paper stock, chromium stock, whatever. And it's a big hit in baseball. So, I mean, I know that there's not quite the same, history with Topps basketball. I mean, you guys would know better than me when Topps started putting out a basketball set every year. And I know that it wasn't the case as often as it was in baseball or as early as it was in baseball. But it'll be interesting. I think that could be a really collectible set too.
I posted here. I love what Gary said, where he said he would love to see them fill in the missing years. And I think, I want to say they've done that before, yes. Right? When Topps itself did in the 90s, but a missing years set where you could get Curry in 2010, 2011, and just use the baseball designs, right? Just use the designs that were already out there and do some missing years sets. Stuff like that would be, I don't think it would have the same pull as printing out what a 70s card would look like or whatever, but I think that would really get people interested, and that would get people to go back and look at what those sets were all about for baseball too, because a lot of football and basketball collectors aren't into baseball. So I love that idea, Ryan. Gary, sorry.
And it doesn't even require that much work. The design is there for them.
They bought everything. It's right there.
Print it out.
All right, I think that's a good spot to wrap up. I'll let you sort of sign off in a second, Joey, but I just want to say, I mean, the conversation's been excellent. This has been way more interactive than I thought it was going to be for the first show. I thought the 4 of us were just going to be staring at each other. So the fact that there's even a handful or 2 of people commenting and throwing stuff out there, gets me really excited about what this could be. So, I just want to give a shout out to Joe. He's the one that really initiated all this. So just so you guys know, he's the one that kind of came up with the idea and did the groundwork. And then Ryan's been supporting him from the technical side. And Adam and I have just been sitting back and watching DMs happen. So appreciate all the work you guys have done in getting us to this point for a first episode. And truly appreciate everybody that's been, whether you're watching now or watching, because it's saved on YouTube at a later date. It's been a good start. So thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thank you guys. Have a great night. Hopefully we'll see you next Thursday, again, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 Pacific. I promise my 2-month-old baby will not be a guest star next time as well. And we'll see you guys then. Thanks for checking in and thanks for chatting. Hopefully next time you'll jump on the stream with us.
Be well, everyone.